Good day, everyone. I'm Wilfred Todman Jr. Today we'll be covering unethical behavior and business practices in the workplace. This is actually a business proposal that I've created in the form of a PowerPoint for English 315, Business and Professional Writing. My professor's name is Barbara Green, and as you can see, this PowerPoint was actually created on May 23rd, 2018. Let's go on ahead and get down to business. Here we have the appendix contents. We won't spend too much time on this slide. However, I would like to provide you guys with a few seconds to read through the topics that we will be addressing as we move forward throughout the PowerPoint presentation. So this appendix contents really just provides an overview of our scope of work or our sequence of work as it pertains to this PowerPoint presentation. Hope you guys enjoy. Let's start the introduction by defining ethics according to the text. Ethics is the branch of philosophy concerned with systematizing, defending, and making recommendations about conduct through considering questions of right and wrong. Business ethics is a form of applied or professional ethics that examines the principles and morals that can arise in a business environment. The complexity of the modern world can oftentimes make it hard to determine what unethical behavior is, as unethical business practices, personal misbehavior, and scandals are rife. It is important to examine the societal factors which have led to the unethical behavior that becomes common in the workplace. Here below we have a couple of events where unethical behavior in the workplace and outside of the workplace have taken place recently. Corporations pride themselves on being aggressive and competitive in today's market without considering the consequences of those behaviors. My proposal is to make employees feel more comfortable in reporting unethical behavior involving waste, fraud, and abuse of government assets, and to implement real changes for alleviating some of those practices, which will tackle the discussion of ethics and ethical dilemmas, improvement of work processes, and effective decision-making to foster positive changes. This information may look familiar. It should. We actually closed out the introduction slide where we stated the proposal at the very bottom. The reason why I wanted to reiterate or redirect your focus is pertaining to the fact that this PowerPoint presentation refers to ethical and unethical behavior involving waste, fraud, and abuse of government assets, and to implement real changes for alleviating some of those practices, which will tackle the discussion of ethics and ethical dilemmas, improvement of work processes, and effective decision-making to foster positive changes. When I think about an environment that involves U.S. government assets, I think Army, Navy, Marines, and the Air Force. Another word that comes to mind is joint. And when you think about that word, joint, you think about the fact that you'll have more than one avenue of approach or more than one procedure to accomplish a common task. And that makes accountability of U.S. government assets a very, very tedious process. Although most employees may have an idea of what takes place as it pertains to government assets and fraud, waste, and abuse, reporting these dilemmas is something that is not a very comfortable feeling. Throughout the presentation, we will address these ethical dilemmas and will also identify these work processes that can be used to ensure that employees are protected and are comfortable when reporting incidents where fraud, waste, and abuse may be running rampant throughout various aspects of the supply system. Here are a few ways that we can address the ethical dilemmas we encounter on a daily basis as far as government assets are concerned. These environments include Army, Air Force, Navy, Marines, DoD contractors, and DoD civilians as well. All contractor employees have a responsibility to report waste, fraud, and abuse within their organization to the Government Accountability Office. The most important thing, as you can imagine, is when to report a contracting company for the mismanagement of government assets. In most cases, contractors are not comfortable, or employees are not comfortable, making reports of fraud, waste, and abuse due to fear of retaliation and other aspects of backfire they may encounter when reporting fraud, waste, and abuse. Implementing ethical reporting hotlines will make employees and service members feel comfortable addressing these issues of waste, fraud, and abuse within these organizations as it pertains to government assets. The next step is ensuring that these service members and employees are aware of the top coverage that's provided by these reporting hotlines as they remain anonymous when complaining or reporting government contracting agencies in cases of waste, fraud, and abuse. Here are a few work processes we plan on implementing in order to mitigate fraud, waste, and abuse as it pertains to government assets. Taking the time to conduct auditing operations will ensure that money is being spent efficiently and effectively. Implementing other forms of software in order to properly track and dictate where government assets will be utilized and ensure the effectiveness of their utilization is also going to prove to be very, very beneficial in the near future. Implementing a code of business to be reviewed quarterly and have meeting with lower tier and upper tier management is also one of the things that will create continuity across the board as it pertains to the tracking and appropriation of U.S. government assets across the board. The current slide addresses the effective decision-making processes. Implementing an approved government standard operating procedure is one of the key things that will positively affect the tracking, acquisitioning, and appropriating of government assets across the theater or across the board. Implementing an approved standard operating procedure is only the beginning. In order to totally understand the resources that are being required across the battlefield, implementing a letter of justification for excessive quantities and high-end purchases of government equipment is necessary. You can imagine that throughout the theater of operation, there are many jobs that become misconstrued as people try to cover down on areas that may be weaker. Quarterly on-site visits of contracting company yards for physical recon of government assets will assist organizations in getting a real-time review of the resources that are available in country while capturing the shortfall or lack of stability within other units due to false future planning. The following chart provides an overview of waste, fraud, and abuse by U.S. contracting companies. In Series 1, you'll find the total outlays in 2015. Series 2 covers improper payment rates in 2015. And Series 3 encompasses the total improper payments in 2015, all of which are captured by the billions. This is just a proper illustration of how much money these companies are putting out yearly due to fraud, waste, and abuse, and the improper decisions being made in reference to the resources that are needed in order to provide mission success throughout our services. The following chart provides an overview of the growth in total program outlays tracked and number of programs reporting improper payments. As you can see, between the years of 2004 and 2014, the number of programs reporting improper payments has grown substantially. This provides an accurate reading of equipment being tracked and appropriated throughout the theater of operation. It is very important yearly that we continue to track our downfall in an effort to improve the ways that we appropriate resources throughout our country or throughout our organization as it pertains to supply, maintenance, and other sources of accomplishing missions. In conclusion, employees are encouraged to report fraud, waste, and abuse regardless of how daunting the mission seems. We want employees to be a part of the solution of protecting the company's reputation, goals, and missions. Employees who report unethical behavior should still feel good about reporting companies that choose to break the law. The employee's loyalty is not to the company, but the public and the taxpayers. Thank you for taking the time to look through this PowerPoint presentation. I truly appreciate your time. It's been very challenging. This is my first recording, first proposal I've ever done, and I hope that the information is not only beneficial but educational as well. And I look forward to doing more in the future.